Hello. In these videos, we will cover the Volanté POS tables and tabs modes in depth to provide more information on the use and functionality of these sections. Let's begin. Our first stop on the Volanté POS is to access the user screen to clock in for this session. We can either touch on user screen on our touch screen, or we can click on it if we're accessing it with a mouse. At this point, we will be asked to enter our server ID, which is our user ID. We can either enter it from the virtual keyboard on screen, or we can swipe our Volanté employee card. As we can see, I've gone into my user screen specific to myself, and I'm going to go ahead and clock in. So from my clock in, it will provide me an option to clock in under multiple types, depending on the amount of jobs I have assigned to my user. Some job types that generally work with our tabs and tables are the cashier mode, the POS admin cashier. However, you may have custom modes such as server or hostess assigned to your user as well. I'll log in today as our POS admin cashier and choose my selection. This will clock me in as that job type and allow me to continue on with my day. Another function we can look at within the user screen is what happens when my card is swiped from the Volanté splash screen. I have it defaulting to my tables screen right now. However, I can also select any other available modes that I have access to. Let's see what happens when I swipe my employee card from my POS splash screen and what goes on there. I'm going to go ahead and choose done and return back to my Volanté splash screen. So at this point, to access my tables screen, I have two ways of doing it based on my user settings. I can choose tables and enter my cashier number or use my Volanté employee badge. Or based on my setting within my user setup to automatically access the table screen when my badge is swiped, I can swipe from this point here and it will take me directly into my tables screen. So a few of the functions we're going to look at a high level here are the buttons along the top. Each of the terminals at your location may be set up differently to access different sections and table seating layouts depending on its installed location. You might have multiple seating areas, let's say restaurant 1, 2, 3, like maybe a north or a south wing. You might have multiple floors, or you may have a cafe with one seating arrangement and a restaurant with a different seating arrangement. All of these sections are configured within the Volanté terminal settings by our implementation team. If you need changes or want to get more detail about how you can set up your sections, please reach out to your Volanté team and we're happy to help. At this point, if I'd like to switch between available sections for this particular terminal, I can choose the section buttons at the top of the screen. This will take me between any available sections I have assigned to this terminal. Additional options can be found under our table options screen, which we will look at more in depth in our next video. We have the close table to close open tables. I can find any open tables or any tables in general by using the Find Table button within any section. I can choose to go to tabs, which we'll look at in a future video, or I can choose to access quick drinks, again from a future video as well. At this point, let's take a look at a few functions available within our table options screen. I can choose to do a refresh of my tables if my terminals for any reason are not showing matching data. Sometimes due to network interruptions, I may choose to do a refresh of tables. This will sync all data between all available terminals to make sure everyone has the most current information. This is normally not required. The terminals will sync automatically amongst themselves. However, in the case of network interruption, you may need to refresh your tables. Some functions we'll look at in a future video revolve around our tabs, moving a table into a tab, moving a table into an existing tab, or moving a tab into a table. We'll also look at reseating customers once we've seated our individuals, and we can take a look at how to make a table reservation. Simply choose Reserve Table, select the table you wish to reserve, and enter a name. This table will now be reserved for a party under the name Bob Smith. I can unreserve the table the same way. I can choose to do my reserve table, click the table, and the reservation is now being lifted. Within this screen, we can also transfer our tables and tabs, which we'll cover in a future video, and I can show additional table details. I'll turn this on for now. What we can see here are the expected head counts for these tables once the table is being seated. This information will be shown in a future video as we seat our customers and move through some of our transaction flow. Additional options under the table options section include changing our table layouts. We can add or remove or rename tables. We can move tables around as well. And from here, I can also choose to merge tables for larger parties. So for example, maybe I'm going to have a large party seated in my tables on the far right. I've chosen to do a merge. We can see all the buttons have turned gray except for cancel and done. In this case, I'm choosing to merge these multiple tables together, and now I'm choosing done. So now I have an expectation of a party of 12 seating at these tables, and we can see the merge icon is being displayed. So now to unmerge the tables, I can choose the same option I chose before under Table Options and Split Merge Tables. In this case, I can select the table I wish to unmerge from my grouping, and we notice that it has gone back to my normal screen. If I wish to continue merging or unmerging, I would select the buttons accordingly. Thank you for watching. Let's move on to our next video.